Hello and welcome, and this is Moneycontrol at Davos. My name is Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor. Now, on the sidelines of Davos, conversations that happen inside Congress, very intellectual, big macro pictures, countries, how they're looking at economies. Outside, in the pavilions, the conversations are more about innovation, which is the next big thing coming up in various fields, really. For example, this time around, the biggest sort of gathering of people has happened outside blockchain, outside crypto, outside spaces like that. And one of my favorite, at least, pavilions has been the Equality Lounge as well. Now, there are the two aspects on how you look at Davos. The third aspect, which I'm going to bring to you now, has been the one I've been really looking forward to, interacting with young leaders, young, what they're called global shapers, who come to Davos from different corners of the world. And then, what are the conversations there? What are these young entrepreneurs, social entrepreneurs, thinking about the future? What are they doing for the community now? And what's their vision for the future? So this is an absolute youth quick moment of sorts, and I'm very kicked to have this conversation. Joining me today is Radhika, Deepankar, and also my friend Sikandar over there. Radhika, first to you. Could you please introduce yourself? Tell us what got you to Global Shapers and what's the story so far?
Yes, thank you so much, Sonal. I'm Radhika. I am a curator of Pune Hub in India. I work on social and environmental issues. My background is in environmental sciences, and we promote social and environmental justice because we believe that we cannot achieve environmental justice without social justice. So that's what I've been working on with the Hub as well as in my individual capacity.
Right, Deepankar?
Lovely to be here, Sonal. My name is Dipankar. I'm from the New Delhi Hub of Global Shapers community from India as well. I've been a shaper for the last 5 years, and all my work is in education and EdTech. Professionally, I'm a strategy consultant with EY Parthenon, and I work towards promoting culture-based education of the work.
Yeah. Oh, how nice.
Thank you very much, Sonal. It's lovely to be here. My name is Sikandar Bizenjo. I am part of the Global Shapers community from Karachi Hub. My work is mainly in the southwestern province of Pakistan, which is called Balochistan, where we are helping build reading rooms and libraries for students who are from villages that do not have internet. I've been part of the Global Shapers community for 4 years. I'm also part of their advisory council.
Oh,
happy to be here.
That's really lovely. Radhika, first, could you just tell our viewers a little bit about what exactly Global Shapers do? Why is this such a coveted tag that all of you are wearing with this honor over here?
So Global Shapers is an initiative of the World Economic Forum, and it's a group of young change makers between the ages of 18 to 27. We all have individual professional lives, but we are passionate about change making. It could be in different fields. Someone could be passionate about the education sector, civil issues, environmental issues like myself, and we come together and work on issues in the city. So we have different hubs across India and across the globe, and there are different shapers working on different issues.
Right. But Deepankar, tell me, so you guys also, so there is this big, huge thing on unicorns and startups that are happening, and then cut to you guys who are like social unicorns, if I can call it that, really, right? Doing this for a cause. Huge parity between what's value for them, what's value for you, right?
Yeah.
And how old are you again?
I'm 30.
You're 30. At 30, you told me earlier, you're a mentor already.
Yeah.
Yeah? How does that work?
I think mentorship is something that is irrespective of age, Sonal. And we were just talking about this earlier. I was in a session in the Congress Center, and that was with Generation Disruption. And Platon, who's like a world-renowned photographer, commented that he was mentored by a young 10-year-old I think social justice activist from America who said that to facilitate black movement in America, to facilitate our rights, you need to stand with us, not against us. So I think mentoring stands like agnostic of age, and it's just so honorable to be here standing with the heads of states, with ministers, with industry, with business, wearing the same white badge as them. And that's really the power of Global Shapers, because they want to bring youth voices across every dialogue that's happening in and outside of Davos. And it's just a privilege to be making our voices heard, to really portray that this is what young people across the world want, and this is how we're willing to present solutions and be a part of the change.
Right. Spoken like a pro, huh? I must say. This is like going. I want to come to you next and talk about such an important thing that you're doing back in Pakistan as well, especially during COVID times. Tell me your experience.
So, Sonal, I think this is the defining moment in history in our generation at least, because COVID exacerbated the structural challenges that were already part of our society. And the same goes for countries like ours as well, where, for instance, digital access, if we just talk about that one element, 70% of people in Balochistan, for instance, do not have access to internet. How do we expect the students to go for online classes? So this I think created a vacuum for social entrepreneurs like ourselves, and many other amazing people could jump in and fill this vacuum. And we're really pleased to see that, as Dipankar mentioned, that we are part of the movement here. We are not seen as just youngsters with very idealistic views. We were seen as equal, the leaders of today, not the leaders of tomorrow.
Yeah. I think everybody's nodding their heads on that. I think a beautiful sari that you're wearing also as well. Did you have to like dress up, get all like be the big global shaper?
Not at all. Actually, I think one advice that our Global Shapers team gave us was to be ourselves and to wear comfortable shoes, because we'll have to do a lot of running around. And I think we've seen that over the past 3 days. We've seen the change in dressing, because first it was more about looking really good, and then it was about comfort. So I think we all are at a comfortable stage by now.
Yeah. You do some interesting work. And you've been, when it comes to menstrual hygiene and also the environmental cost of it all, there are constantly now, all your grams at the moment, everybody's account is flooded with options, stuff that we've not seen in the past. But again, the environmental question on it all still remains. Tell me, what have been the findings so far? How's that journey going?
So my expertise is in waste management, and that's how I started working, looking at the sanitary waste issues in India. Although there's a huge issue of sanitary waste mismanagement, we have to acknowledge that less than 50% of the menstruators have access to sanitary pads. So how do we change that while ensuring that sanitary waste is also being managed? So what we are trying to do with my organization, Badlav Social Reform Foundation, is we are working with the low-income, marginalized menstruators, giving them education about their bodies, the menstrual health, and empowering them to make an informed choice on the different period products that exist. Later on, we raise some funds through crowdfunding, or there are some really kind friends and family that are helping us out, wherein we procure sustainable menstrual products and provide it to them.
So it's a twofold thing. It's education on menstrual hygiene, and then it is about the waste management.
Exactly. That's how we understood social and environmental issues as well, because I cannot be distributing, say, menstrual cups or cloth pads without this education, without the women knowing about their bodies and knowing that how a menstrual cup needs to be used, for example. So it is very much a social as well as an environmental issue that I'm working on.
Right. I want to talk about your cause, Dipankar.
Yes, please. I think we've always acknowledged education as one of the issues that we need to solve. And the conversation that I've had with global shapers from all across the world, and we all share the opinion that education is not an issue, it's a tool. It's a platform through which all the change making can happen. So she spoke about environment, right? If you're not aware about environment consciousness, then you really can't act on it. And education is a driver through which gender, through which environment, through which economic disparity can actually be addressed.
Yeah,
so,
but we're talking about education at a very interesting time. The entire EdTech revolution in India has been huge. It's been the one, sort of real boom during the pandemic as well. It provided some tangible solutions that one could really work on. But as we move out of the pandemic right now, we're already looking at, say, going back to the classroom, and then there's this whole debate on should there be a classroom in the metaverse, or there should be a classroom, an offline one. So what exactly is this change, sort of path-breaking idea that you've brought to the World Economic Forum?
That's a very interesting question, Sonal. So now that the pandemic is receding now, and we're all thinking about going back to school and back to colleges, I do think the EdTech in India particularly is at a space where it will not go back to just being provider of concepts. It's going to adopt and be an equal partner that while you learn at school, you're also learning other things outside. Interestingly, spoken about metaverse, and I was very fortunate this morning to actually experience metaverse at the Meta House here in Davos, and it was so interesting to me to just observe the human heart and actually control the entire human heart with the swipe of my hands.
I had my first Meta experience as well. Yeah.
So it's just like extremely interesting, and I think it's going to add a lot of value. Another interesting thing that I want to talk about is that EdTech particularly is not just limited to for-profit in India now. There's a lot of work is happening on just making just driving the social impact through education. So we have EdTech platforms in India which are now talking about inclusivity around mental health. We're talking about EdTech in forms of career guidance. We're talking about skill building. There's an entire dialogue about reskilling happening in a very, very big manner here at Davos. And I'm taking back lots of interesting best practices. I'm taking back lots of technologies that I want to actually understand a little bit deeper.
Lots of young entrepreneurs like you sitting back home, share some with them.
Absolutely. And that's the idea, that if I'm here, if I'm privileged here to be at Davos, how can I take these best practices, these insights back to the country?
What has been this one
share?
really bubble breaking idea for you?
And it's this bubble breaking idea for me, Sonal, is something which is very personal. It's not something which is very technical.
Okay.
So if you allow me to share that is, I think all of us have our moments of doubt, right? And the biggest sort of takeaway or the bubble bursting moment for me is, if I have done and if I've achieved things which I've never expected to do ever in my life, like I never expected that I would meet 4 heads of states all in one day. I never expected that the Prime Minister of Tunisia would stand right next to me and pat me on the back for asking an insightful question. And if I've done all of that, then there's really nothing that I cannot do if I don't, if I don't doubt myself. So that's the biggest takeaway for me, that you can do everything as long as you're willing to put in effort, and as long as you're willing to condition yourself that you are a leader of today, not tomorrow. As Sikandar said, I think that's a key message that we're taking, from Davos.
Very inspiring. I want to understand, even in Pakistan, how many people represented from Pakistan this time around?
One.
Just one?
In Global Shapers, I'm the one. In terms of businesses, there are businesses. Angro Corporation is here. Dawood Group is here. And in terms of the government, we have a delegation as well.
Right, I'm sure. So how has it been interacting with leaders like yourself from across the globe?
It's been overwhelming. As Dipankar mentioned, I think this is one of the highlights of our life so far, or the best highlight of our life so far, because we are meeting people that we have always seen on television. We have idealized them, their work, and we are among the same ranks as them.
Can I ask you something that's been sort of in my mind as well this time around? You meet people, you get pictures, you get selfies, you get a pat on the back. What beyond that?
So there are two different sides of people that you're meeting. One is you're just meeting them just for the sake of it, because you just want to. Why not? You're here. He or she is waiting for the coffee line.
That's a rewarding one.
You're waiting for the coffee. Might as well say hello. Yesterday, I met the head of European Parliament, Ursula. I think European Parliament or European Commission, if I'm not wrong.
That also happens very often
exactly.
in Davos.
She was just next to me, and I told her that my sisters are big fans of yours, and we took a photo for them to send it to them. But then there is a set of people that we want to connect later on as well. That's a set of people that inspire us from the grassroots level. For example, the work we do in Balochistan called BYAC, Balochistan Youth Action Committee. We started this work in the peak pandemic periods by helping to provide food baskets to different villages that were completely cut off because of the lockdown. Then we moved to helping the frontline workers, doctors. And our way of work has always been informal, without funding, most of them without funding. It's always been reliance on the people. So we have more than 200 active champions working in different villages, risking their lives during peak pandemic periods, going to the hospitals, delivering these things.
What sort of millennials are you guys? Like, there is one set that is talked about that I see on my gram. There's this TikTok generation, and then there are people like you, right? Do you have any thoughts, reflection on Gen Z?
So I love Gen Z. I admire their way of work as well. And I do want to learn a lot from them.
What is their way of work? Who are you now? You are like millennial, and then there's a segregation.
So we are slightly different. We're slightly different, that we are in the old system as well. For example, the Great Resignation, if you talk about it,
Yeah.
majority of the people who want to work for their own self as entrepreneur, that's mainly the Gen Z. They are comfort in their own zone. They are talking a
The gig
lot about
economy.
the real challenges, and we want to learn from them as well. I do want to, when I go back, I do want to explore TikTok as well. Why not?
Yeah. Radhika?
Like you mentioned, like there are two sets, TikTokers and the other social entrepreneurs maybe.
Or is it possible that you can be both?
I think yes, definitely.
yeah.
I think this is with every generation. Even the older generation, we have people who do not want to be more open and accept certain things. But we have few people who are, I think our mentors are people who we look up to, who are accepting, who want to learn more from the millennials and the Gen Z. So I think every generation has
Yeah,
that.
but Dipankar, answer this for me. There is an entire generation of people which looks down upon forums like the World Economic Forum. They say, what on earth is really going on over there? Our community is the online space. You work so closely with the metaverse and still you're here, right? I'm just trying to make sense of things here. How are we going towards a world in terms of a young ecosystem where there will be like these two kinds of youths that we will really be seeing? Or is there any way to define Gen Z at all?
I think that's a very interesting and at the same time a very difficult question.
And I ask this because you are one like in metaverse and one like outside. So I want to understand that.
So I think the best way to sort of describe Gen Z is purpose-driven and courageous. We as millennials are also very conscious of our purpose. I mean, I think we all have stories wherein we've said no to fancy jobs because they did not align well with our values. I think Gen Z is a step ahead. So they want purpose, and their sort of kick in life is, what is the legacy I leave behind? What will people remember me by? So that's the kind of youth that's coming up. At the same time, they are bold and courageous. They are not afraid to say out their ideas. They are not afraid to ask difficult questions. They are not afraid to stand in the same room as the Prime Minister of a country and tell them, I beg to disagree with you, and this is my viewpoint. This is what I expect from
you say
from
that,
the
yeah.
government. So it's just like very, very courageous movement that's happening with the Gen Z. They're more tech equipped. They're more open to experimentation with new technologies. And at the same time, they really want to find their purpose and live by that purpose.
Yeah.
So that's what my take on Gen Z really is.
Quick round comments on take on Gen Z. Which way is it going?
I like them. I like them. I think I want to.
But it's still them. It's still them. It's at a distance.
I can't say I like us. I like the younger generation. We are young, but I like the younger generation. I think, as Dipankar said, they are bold. We are bold as well. I think so. Global Shapers is a community where both of these subsections of groups that you are mentioning are part of it. So, for example, you can apply to be a global shaper from 18 to 27. There's no restrictions. So you're both sides, and we certainly can learn from each other. There are certain things, for example, on technology that I might shy away. I'm like, okay, if I'm not comfortable, I'm not going to use it. But Gen Z is teaching us to dive into it and learn from it. So I think we all need mentors, as Dipankar mentioned. We all need mentors that are elder, but at the same time, we need mentors that are younger than us as well, because that's going to define how we want to
that's
see
interesting.
two
Yeah.
different sides of the world.
Yeah, that's really nice. I also want to understand role models. Radhika, do you want to go with that?
Sorry,
Role models.
The ones that we are looking up to?
Yes.
Yes, I think this was a great opportunity for all of us to, like he's mentioned, you're just having a coffee and then you bump into someone and you've been admiring them for so long, and now you're actually having that conversation. So it's inspiring. It's a very
I'm coming more from the sense of that my personal reading of how the world is going to look at things is that there was a generation which used to get really mesmerized and enamored by celebrities, by getting like that one selfie, lining up outside, say, stars, houses, etc. Is that gone? Have we moved from an era of of realism, maybe, of more and more people who are big Instagram celebrities and share their own original, authentic ideas? They are going to be role models now?
I don't know if it's changed completely, but it is definitely changing, and people are liking more authenticity, like you said. People being real, people being vulnerable, because social media is all of us have fancy stories that we are putting up. We are not putting up our bad days, our vulnerable moments, our low moments, and everybody seems to be living the best lives, which creates more anxiety for the people. So I think now with body positivity or just understanding that even the best of best people with amazing lives can have problems is definitely gaining more attention, and people are liking that.
Right. Dimankar, you want to tell us your role models?
My role models honestly have changed from pre and post Davos.
Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah.
That's been a really transformative experience for me. So, I mean, I was always looking up to tech leaders. I was looking up to people who've created the way we need to go forward as societies. But of recently, and with the conversations that are happening all around, I've really been inspired by change makers, especially the young change makers. I've been inspired by people who are actually trying to give back to society in a way that politicizes and legalizes it. So in fact, just this morning I was standing for coffee, and I just met the Minister of Education in Bangladesh. And we were in a session together earlier, and she walks by me and she tells me, you know what, good question you asked the other day. And I was so enamored by the idea of bringing in future first or skills first education to Bangladesh that you spoke about in the session, and right from very early on till the college. And she said, you know what, I would actually like for us to work together. And it was such a serendipitous moment that she just took my number on her phone and she clicked a picture, and now I'm a contact in her phone. And likewise, it's just serendipitous, and it happens a lot in Davos. And it's all because Global Shapers community decided.
I'm sure a lot of people watching you, not just in India, in Pakistan and across the globe, are going to feel very inspired with this experience as well. Thank you so much, guys, for speaking with Moneycontrol and sharing your stories, and good luck.
Thanks, Sonal. Thank you.
Bye-bye.